I would like to talk a little bit about severances in a specific area of severance. I want to talk about some Fort McClellan claims. Anybody that knows me and who's a Fort McClellan victim knows that I go after Fort McClellan claims primarily on exposure to herbicide agents, the very exact same herbicide agents that were used in Vietnam. And I feel strongly about that. I've been working on it for about 15 years, and we're getting closer and closer. More claims are getting granted. And we have some pretty damn good evidence of herbicide use on Fort McClellan. Rock solid, actually. And we've had several cases where somebody has looked at our evidence and conceded herbicide exposure. Once that exposure is conceded, it's not a presumption, it's a concession. And then they have a herbicide-related disability, prostate cancer, lung cancer, diabetes, leukemia, it's a pretty big list, that they then grant service connection for those herbicide-related disabilities. And then somebody else comes along in their infinite wisdom, what's called an RQRS, a rating quality review representative. In other words, a quality reviewer at the local level. Usually, not all the time. Sometimes it's a DRO. And that upsets me the most because those are the people that are supposed to have the most experience in this, that should know better than to start severing things that were granted legally. But what will happen is somebody like that will then look at that case and go, oh, that's not Vietnam. That's not Thailand. That's not the Korean DMZ. That's not C-123s. That's not Blue Water Navy. We were not supposed to have presumed herbicide exposure for Fort McClellan. That's not an area we're allowed to do that. Bullshit. It is. If there is evidence in the file of herbicide use where a person served, those herbicide agents are the same ones listed in the regulation at 3.307, and VA concedes as likely as not that that person was exposed to those herbicides, you can't come back later and sever service connection. All you're doing is guaranteeing you a reversal at the Board of Veterans Appeals. And if the board, if you're listening, all you're doing is guaranteeing a reversal from the court. So please do me a favor and stop trying to sever Fort McClellan claims. If they're my cases, you're going to lose every single time. And if that happens to any of you out there, by all means, appeal the thing or give us a call, because it's not supposed to happen. Also on Fort McClellan claims, once VA concedes Board of Veterans Appeals, you're guilty of this one a lot, so I'm sure you're not listening, but once VA concedes exposure to the herbicides on Fort McClellan and you have a herbicide-related disability, you don't need a medical opinion linking the disability to the exposure. In Vietnam, you get two presumptions: a presumption of exposure, and then, if you have the right disability, a presumption of service connection. If it's somewhere where you do not get a presumption of exposure, but you have proved that you were exposed, or as likely as not exposed, which is supposed to be the standard, and you have the otherwise herbicide-related disability, you still get the presumption of service connection once you prove the exposure. So everybody pull their heads out of their heinies and stop making these mistakes. And if you do that, we'll all have a better day and you'll have less work, and I won't have to appeal and prove you wrong.
Hey, Nate here, Inland Ponton's video guy. The video you just watched is expanded on further in this one right here. Learn something more, increase your rating. As Matt always says, knowledge is power. So go ahead,